This is Rich Friend, Ricardo Amigo Real Estate, and this is Rare Conversations, a podcast you can see on YouTube, Spotify, and also at our website, ricardoamigo.com. And today I have the privilege to be hosting Abelardo Juarez in beautiful downtown Todos Santos. And a lot of people know it as Oestera. We're at Vino Park right now on this beautiful property, and a lot of people know him as Abi, and a lot of people don't know him because he flies under the radar, but he is the CEO of this beautiful property project. So I just wanted to say thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure, Richard. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm just happy to be able to have a conversation.
I've met you kind of on the spot. Ernesto Copel, who kind of put this together, but you were kind of the backbone of this. He kind of had the vision, put it together, and you were kind of the person. And I met you on site. I've been here a few times now, and you've hosted me, and you were always the most gregarious person around. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you wound up in Todos Santos.
Thank you. Yes, well, let's start with, of course, Neto is the investor here. And I've known Neto my whole life. He's from Mazatlan. I'm from Mazatlan. Him and my father were close friends because they were both in the hospitality business. My father in the restaurant business and Neto in the hotel business. And so I've known Neto my whole life. And personally, I've been in the hospitality business also my whole life, mostly in the restaurant business, but doing all sorts of things, mostly with Grupo Andersons. Grupo Andersons was, my father was one of the founders, and they opened 120 restaurants throughout the world in the last 4 decades.
Are we going to say what? We don't want to drop a name on that, do we? Or can you?
Of course.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, Senor Frogs,
Frogs,
and Carlos and Charlie's,
Yep.
and of course we have a little stake at the restaurant in Cabo, the Squid Row. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And the La Paz Lapa, which opened in La Paz again many years ago, just reopened with new owners. But so I've been coming to Baja my whole life. I love Baja. I was raised in Mazatlan, so it's just a hop away. So I would spend a lot of time here. I would come with my father, and I always saw myself being part of this community, and I was just waiting for the right time. And the right time was I started doing surf events here in Cabo, the Los Cabos Open of Surf. And Neto was always helping me out, of course. You know Neto. He does a lot of great work. He's a force of nature. He's also kind of a rock star. And he's a visionary. And, he was always trying to help, and he did help us a lot. And in that relationship, me doing the surf events and him, of course, always working for the destination. We kind of connected again, and it was very funny because we were in a meeting, and we were talking about Todos Santos, and he had some people working already in the project, but he didn't have anybody like directing it. And so out of the blue, this is Neto. He said, "Oh, well, Abe is the new director of the project in Todos Santos." And of course, I loved it. I mean, I've been coming to Todos Santos. I was coming, we all remember Peter Buck's music festival.
Yeah.
That's what brought me to Todos Santos a few
That was
years.
kind of your...
Yeah, that was like, wow, what is the guitarists of REM
Yeah.
in this little town bringing the amazing bands? It was a shock to me. I was like, what's going on? So that really put Todos Santos in the map for me. Huge fan of REM, so it was like I was starstruck. But then, working with Los Cabos Open of Surf, I did come here a lot. I spent a few nights in the Hotel California, and I got to know the area better. And so when Neto said, hey, you're on, I just said yes, definitely yes. And from then on, again, he is Neto again. He's a visionary. He has this ability to see into the future. but also he's got this very keen business sense. He's not so much of a micromanager, but he's got this great instinct. And the minute that he said, "You're the one," I was like, he knows. And it's been a great process. We've been in the project 8 years now, and it's been really fun.
So I think we're going to hit on, I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit more. We're going to dive into Ernesto Copel a little bit, but I think it's great. I think a lot of people don't realize how many people have come through on festivals in this area, and the music festival was huge. I mean, when you say Peter Buck of REM, who was living here at the time, putting on this festival, we had some, celebrity rock stars here in this small town. Some huge bands playing, just really, that did a lot for bringing the level of festivals and a lot of people to this area.
Yes.
And so you had mentioned Ernesto Copel having kind of rock star status, and this is like, I met Ernesto up here, and I had known him through people and just known the name, and I've heard of what he did. And then when I came here and met him, it's like there is a presence of Ernesto Copel, and I remember one time I was traveling, on stopping off in Mexico City on my way to Merida, and I saw Ernesto at the airport.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, Ricardo, hey, come on over," and he's like, "Hey, I'm in between flights," and I'm like, "Yeah, I gotta," He's like, "Oh, it's great to see you," and like 3 people stopped, came over, and said, "Can I take a photo with you?" And I'm like, man, this guy is a celebrity.
He is.
So if you can kind of share with us a story, like you had mentioned the visionary part of him, it really is like, I'll get into something a little later, but if you can share a story about Ernesto, maybe a personal experience that you've had with him.
Well, again, he's very intuitive, and it's fun to work with somebody like that because it never gets boring. His meetings are awesome. He's a storyteller, so everything's coated with a nice story. So he wants to lecture you. He will. He's tough, but he'll do it with a story about him, about his life, what he's had to endure in his life, because he didn't come from money, and he made everything that he's done has been through really just him, and of course a great team of people he chooses well, I think. And of course I got many stories. One of them is when we started talking about opening a restaurant in Cabo. And we had all these great ideas, and actually we went and talked to Eduardo Sanchez Navarro and Paco Bulnes and Ruben Coppel, some of the big investors in Cabo, and this was 10, 12 years ago. And Neto wanted a great restaurant bar with a rooftop, kind of celebrity status, where the Hollywood people could come and have fun, kind of a speakeasy door for them.
Yep.
And we were really moving ahead with that project, but it didn't pan out. There was a time, we all remember, it got kind of difficult. The tourism industry kind of was moving slower than it is right now. And but doing that, thinking about what we wanted, he invited me to go with him and Gabi, his wife, and other people to Ibiza to get inspirations for what we wanted to do.
here.
And I've never traveled with him. And of course, we went to 5 restaurants, clubs, or beach clubs per day. This was 3 days. I was dead at the end. And again, he's like, nothing happened. So to me, it's humbling, the energy. But he writes books. He's got like 3 or 4 books.
Is that right? I didn't know that
He's
part
got 3 or 4 books. You should look him up. They're
Okay.
extremely fun. He's a musician. He plays guitar. He sings. He's got records. There's
Wow.
records of him. But he's also a historian. He's got photographic memory, which is not great for me because everything that I say, I have to be sure that because he'll remember. And he's got this museum in his house. Great art, letters from Napoleon, and motorcycles. So the scope is just amazing. So I mean, you people that don't know him, and everybody's like, if you're an investor in that size, not everybody's gonna love you. You're a disruptor, and there's people that don't, and I always say, give him 5 minutes. You're gonna fall in love with him
Yeah.
because he's very charming. He's very smart, and again, I'm just so grateful to be part of his team, and I've learned so much from him, and also Gabi Camus, his wife. I mean, she's been a very big part of this project, and with them, and they're my tios. They're like my uncles, and it's very fun. So, in this trip to Ibiza, I don't remember half of it because we were drinking from 10 in the morning, but I was very impressed at how he was the first one up. He was the last one out. He was always on top of everything that was going on. And, that's Neto.
It's a great character, like a character of him, because I've met him several times, but the presence that he has, and when the first time I met him, I had heard all of this stuff like about him, right? But you really have to be around him and listen to what he has to say, and it dispels any myth that
The amount of work he has done for the destination, for Baja, the amount of people he has helped, the amount of things that nobody knows that he does, it's amazing. So again, there's so much. You should invite him to this podcast.
I
That would
should,
be that would
I
be
think
your
I'll
most viewed
yes,
podcast
I
by
probably will
far.
wind up doing
He's
a
now an
podcast.
influencer.
Is he really?
Well, he's got
Yeah.
almost 200,000 followers
Wow.
on Instagram. So,
Wow.
and all his posts are very fun because he teaches you, he entertains, he talks about his life, he talks about art, he talks about his family. It's never boring.
Someone gave me a gift years back, and I still have it, a book on the history of the Coppel family, and it's
Well, I think he's the one that wrote it.
is that right?
I'm pretty sure
Is
that's
he
yeah,
Ernesto wrote that?
Ernesto,
Okay.
yeah, the Coppel
Okay.
legacy and family.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
that's him.
Yep.
That's
So
him.
I'm going to segue here because it's amazing to actually learn and have that experience from a man of that caliber and a person of that caliber, and what you can gather from him. But I think I'd like to mention that, but you call it behind the scenes, but you're the guy. I mean, you're the person here, hands on. A lot of people don't have seen you. They know you're the face of kind of this area. They know the name Coppel. But Abi, in all credit to you, I've seen you here, and what you're doing here is absolutely amazing, truly. And that includes, Oistera, that includes Vino Park. The project Palmoral that you're doing, the real estate project. You have 38 acres, and just look behind us, and what a place to come to work.
Yeah.
What a place to be involved in.
Yeah.
And I'd love you to talk about kind of what how you feel about being the man in charge here, and also the real estate project that's taking place.
Well, again, first of all, always my first responsibility is to look out for Neto's legacy and his name. And I am the executioner here. Of course, we talk a lot about what we want for the project, and for us to be able to preserve the oasis, and we haven't moved one tree in this whole project. We're adapting to the land. So there's no master plan where we say, oh, so we have been very careful we're going slow. I mean, for Neto's type of work, we are going very slow, but that's the way Todos Santos is, and it is a boutique, low density destination. We know this. So out of the 38 acres, the area that's going to be with construction and Palmoral is part of that, it's only 9% of the total land. The rest is going to be gardens. So I call this when I have to explain the project to somebody in 2 minutes, I say this is the Central Park of Todos Santos.
Yeah.
Because we're doing an amphitheater, we're doing the community art center. There's going to be, I lived here for 5-6 years. Not anymore. Now I live in La Paz because there are no schools. But besides the schools, which is one of the obstacles that the town has, and there's many if you want to live here and have a family. It's a beautiful town. I love it. My kids miss it so much. But the school thing, I mean, they're growing older. There's very few options, and so we moved back to La Paz. I come and go every day, but it was hard for me as a dad. There were no classes, no activities for them. So we're doing this community art center. There's a lot of musicians. There's a lot of artists. This is an artist hub. And most of them, they have their gallery, they do their stuff, but they could contribute so much more. And some of them want to, but they don't have the spot to do it, or they live too far away. So we're doing, art classes, music classes, cooking classes for kids and adults throughout the day. We're doing the wellness center, so yoga, temazcales, spa. We're doing the amphitheater. Again, this is an event destination, and Peter Buck set the example, and I think we should continue that. No DJ. Again, it's 40
Live
and up.
music.
Let's do a classic music fest. Let's do a jazz festival. Let's do. I love Cuban music. That's what we play at Estera, by the way. We could do an amazing Cuban music festival, and we do a lot of food fairs also. I mean, that I think is part of what Todos Santos is. So we want to contribute with a lot of happenings and activities. So if you're in La Paz or Cabo, you can drive by, spend the day. Most of our events are during the day. We don't like to, we cut everything off. We close at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, you're done.
We're done. And this is a day destination, and we want to keep it that way too. We're really learning and understanding the needs of the town for the people that live here and for tourists too. I get tourists that come and walk the town in 30 minutes, and then they're like, what's next? They walk 2 blocks up, and then they're like, no, this is... So we direct them. Go to Tregallin, go to Casamango, go to Doom, go to the Green Room. I mean, there's so many cool places, but you gotta look for them, find them. If you don't have a car rented, it's kind of difficult. So we're adding this a few more amenities to the town, and I think that's important. So again, we're doing what did I not mention? I think we're doing like a clubhouse with a palapa. We're gonna do pickleball courts, a little putting green.
Dog park?
We're doing the dog park. Very important. Thank you. And a few more event areas. If you want to get married, there's going to be 2 or 3 different areas for weddings. And we had a great event last night. It's a cocktail party, pre-wedding event, and they had so much fun. So that's a big important part of what we're trying to do is, just have this perfect venue to do any type of event. And again, Palmoral, I love it. It's a great project, and it's going to be for very few lucky people. It's beautiful, and I think again it adds to what we want to offer to somebody who wants to live here. And I know a lot of people that live here, and they reach an age where they want that butler service, and they want everything near.
Yep.
And they want to be more comfortable, and so we're offering that too.
So I remember the first time I came here and just did a walk. You guys said we're doing something underneath the palapa there.
Yeah.
And I did a walk, and I walked out to the palapa, and I was so amazed that this existed right in kind of the heart of downtown, right? I mean, you're like minutes from downtown, and you've got this unbelievable oasis. And I've been here 24 years, and I was overwhelmed. I had that wow factor, like, oh my God, this exists here. And now with the amenities that you're bringing, I remember during COVID, I was opening up Plaza Amigos, which is kind of across the street here, right?
Very nice.
And someone said, you're opening up a plaza during COVID, and then you guys started building, and they're like, aren't you worried about the plaza that's going to open up across the street? And I said, what plaza? And they're like, oh no, they're opening a huge plaza across the street, right? Yeah. So one day I came over here, and someone who was working at the plaza said, so what do you think? You think we've got competition? And I remember just saying, yeah, that's not competition. We're a small little plaza. These guys are putting And I said it the first time I took the walk back here.
Yeah.
You're putting this town at a different level. It's going to change the town, and I know change is a big word
Yeah.
for Todos Santos,
Yeah.
but in my opinion, the effect that this has, I mean, you're at a point without really marketing, without advertising, people stop from La Paz or Cabo, you're stopping here,
Yeah.
and for strawberries, fresas y
Yeah, of
cremas,
course.
and
It's a day
agricole.
trip. It's a perfect
You
day
know,
trip.
I
Yeah.
mean, this is it. You've
Yeah.
literally, and you've done it kind of organically.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what people don't know that you guys are doing, you and Senor Copel,
Yeah.
for the community. What kind of community events have you put on here? What's on the calendar of 2025?
Too many things, and
Too
again,
many things.
this is important because since I got here and I lived here, I understand perfectly the anxiety that we created from the start. Nobody wants change. It happens to me when I go to Mazatlan, my hometown, and it's just overwhelming to see all the change. And then we get older and we get nostalgic, and it affects us in many ways. So, to me, understanding that I was part of the anxiety that was coming to the town, I took this personal and I really did want to make the right decisions. And we, Neto and Gabi, we discussed this many times. We have to be a positive change. And what does that mean? And we don't advertise the amount of work that we do behind the scenes. We're helping the bomberos. We've helped a lot of the associations. We helped the delegado. We're doing right now. We're working in two large events for next year. One of them is to help Perros Santos, which is one of the very associations that has, that's doing great work in the stray dog population here. So we're gonna do a big event. Everybody in the community is helping out. We're just lending the venue, but the music bands, they're gonna play for free, and the chefs are gonna work for free, and everybody's gonna work for free. And this is to, it's a community-driven festival to gather resources for this very important work that Perros Santos are doing. But also we're doing the Bomberos Fest. Same thing. These guys need help. And again, we always help, but it's never enough. So the Palm Grove, the Oasis is the heart of the town, and it catches fire
Yeah.
a few times a year. And so right now we're buying two forest fire trucks
Wow.
that can go down and don't get stuck in the mud. It can go through the Palm Grove. So this is something that we're doing through a committee that we formed with different investors in town, very important ones: San Cristobal, Paradero, Mr. Salas, Guaycura,
Yep.
Todos Santos Boutique Hotel, to mention just a few. But we're all working together. I've had two meetings this morning, none of them having to do with Santa Terra. We went to the dump in Pescadero, which is catching fire all the time. So we're going to help there. We're going to buy a truck that they need to be doing this constant work with all the trash that we all are generating. But not only that, we just had a meeting at the Centro Cultural right now, uh, talking about again the fires at the Oasis. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a 20 local authorities, state authorities, federal authorities,
Yeah.
a lot of investors in town. We had a great meeting, and we're going to do a cleanup session for the Palmar on the 30th of November. And we're dividing the Palm Grove in areas. So I'm talking about 100 people. The Ejército Mexicano, everybody's pitching in. We're providing trucks, food, water. And again, this is stuff that we're doing the whole year. And I think it's very important. It's part of what we need to do in this community. And again, I do understand the anxiety we created, but I'm working really hard to set an example for future investors too. We want this to be the model project, so that, again, taking care of Neto's legacy, it's very important to me. I mean, and what we're doing here has repercussions for the town, and we want to make sure that they're positive.
It's great that there's a responsibility that you guys have said, okay, we're not just going to come in here. We recognize that, we're doing things to make some change in the town, in my opinion, a positive change, but you're also contributing a lot to this community. I know that, you've contributed garbage trucks,
Yeah.
fire trucks now that you're
Yeah.
speaking of, a cleanup crew, events for the community that they can, I mean, really a lot of the different places, even though you're kind of newer, some of the older places are able to piggyback the older businesses and restaurants and
Yes.
everything, kind of piggyback on you guys and
Yes.
as being the kind of leader in this. And the fact that you're community active and community aware is a huge thing, I
Yeah.
think.
I think so too, and this helps,
Yeah.
Richard. I appreciate it because there, as you said, I'm kind of behind the scenes. I don't like to. Again, it's hard for me to be talking about everything that we're doing because again, we have donated a garbage truck, a fire truck. We help in so many ways, but we don't advertise it, and we
No,
shouldn't.
you don't.
But again, through events and through many other things, I think we're going to show the people that live here and are passing through that we can have a positive change in the town. And also, as you said, and we've talked about this also in many parts, in Mexico, it's hard to. I always love that the foreign community is super active here. They're so important to what happens in this town because they're very vigilant and they're very proud and they take care of the town. So they're the ones setting the example to a lot of us. So I always try to keep open communications with the leaders in this town that have been here 20, 30 years and get their input in what we should be doing to help out in more ways.
It's a great point, and the integration of the foreign community and Mexican community here is super important. But to recognize that a lot of the foreign community is really helping and assisting in that respect.
Definitely, definitely.
I also, if you have not been here, make it a point to come, do a tour of the property if you can, do a tour of what's going to be built here because this is going to be a super special place to live. And I just want to ask, what is kind of your opinion of where Todos Santos is going in the future?
Well, we always say there is a very strict building code here.
Yep.
This is a low density destination. I think one of the lowest in Mexico. But we're also in this state. I don't know if you know this state, I've said this before many times. The amount of land that is federally protected is the highest in the country.
In Baja California
Baja Sur
Yeah.
is the state that has the largest amount of land protected, federally protected.
Is that for the mountains and deserts?
Everything. So I mean, this is great. Baja is a low density destination in itself. It's kind of an island, and it's been like this forever. And so for us, that's the DNA of the town and the state. So we are very aware that there's different investors that are not following up on the rules. And so again, that's where the foreign community also does their work. And I think the future of Todos Santos should be pretty much as it is. I always set an example. I don't know if you know Valle de Guadalupe, up in Ensenada, the Wine Valley. That's our Napa Valley.
Yeah.
And they've done a great job to keep it very pristine and very low density. And if you went there 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or today, it really feels like the same place. Even though it's spreading, they've been able to really control that part of it, and I think that's important here. Also, again, we love the fact that it's an artist's hub. Painters, musicians,
writers,
they
all
fall
of it.
down.
Yeah.
We're doing a fantastic event, the Tropic of Cancer with Joe Firstman.
Yep.
It's been going for many years,
Yeah.
15, 18 years. I mean, there's so many things that have been going for so many years, and a lot of people that come, chefs, they come, they fall in love, they want to move here. So again, I think that is the nature of the town is what it is, and we should all work together and keep it that way.
Well said, and I really, the idea that just, anyone watching this, you can There is growth going on in Todos Santos Pescadero, but it's not Cabo growth. We are our own entity.
Yeah.
As was mentioned, it's that low density that really helps. And it's also creating infrastructure and making sure that we have enough. I can't thank you enough for doing this podcast.
That is super
Thank
important.
you.
The infrastructure
Yeah.
is not enough.
Yeah,
So
and
we're working with the authorities to help in that area too,
as well.
as well, of
Yeah.
course. It's not just come and, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to connect to your power line. No, we are providing options, and we're working on the projects to bring investments to better the infrastructure for the whole town. Part two.
Guys, this has been great. Again, Abe Juarez, we're at the Vino Park, and I just want to shout out that we are going to have the privilege of hosting a 20th anniversary here for Rare, and I think it's going to be a great event. So thank you so much for
No,
that.
thank you, Richard, and I'm just happy to be part of what you've been doing in this town too. The amount of work that you've done here is amazing.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right.